A welcome return to 924 Racing is the reigning champion, Linda Warren. Linda, first race under your belt, 7th out of 17, not too bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I was rusty. It's the first time I've sat in a car since last year, so I didn't even realise I was doing a race until last week. But I enjoyed it. It was really good fun, and it's great to be with everyone again. Really good fun, and they're still really quick and more competitive than ever. So I think 7th is okay, you know.
One man very familiar with Porsche is Chris Valentine. Now, it's not the 924s that you're overly familiar with. You're normally racing boxers and brick car. But you've had 3 rounds out with the PDA this year. How you find it, and what's it like being here this weekend?
It's quite a contrast to the Cayman GT4 that I have raced this year. No driver aids in the 924, so you really do have to be a bit careful, especially in the wet. But it's a fantastic car to drive. They're really balanced on circuit, so it's good fun.
They're really heavy. I mean, Philip Waters, who actually running your car this weekend, he gave me a go in his Ulm Park. Fantastically balanced. You can feel everything, feel exactly where it is on the track and what it's going to do. And not too much power as well.
Not too much power. Certainly when you're at the back of the grid, it feels like nowhere near enough power.
Can you imagine the spectacle we've got in front of us now? It's not just the top 10 reverse grid, it is a full reverse grid, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be absolutely amazing. And not only that, but we've got rain as well. Philip Waters and Jamie Callender on the front row from Alistair Kirkham and Stephen Potts. Richard Jones and Andy Pritchard with Chris Jones and Jason Wood on the 4th row. Chris Valentine has chosen to sit out this one due to brake issues. Richard Matthews ahead of Anthony McQuinski. Linda Warren's got an alternator failure in the service area, we're told, from Hanson, Rossin, Jarvis and Flegg, with Ryan Lowry and Rick Styron starting at the back of the grid. Get ready for action, folks. This one is going to be sensational. And right at the front of this race, we are in for an absolute cracker. The lights are on. Let's race for a second time at Donington Park in the drizzle. Away we go, and Philip Waters is going to need to get a good getaway here. Jamie Callender alongside to his right is going to be an interesting one. Let's see how they get to the first corner. Rick Styron's already made up 3 places. Make that 4 places. Make that 5 places as he goes for the inside of Carl Rossin. He might make it 6, 7 potentially as well, as trying to hold his own there round the outside. That is a bit of a tall order as Rick Styron just about slits through. Absolutely beautifully done. And you can see definitely, oh, there goes Jason Wood, and there goes Anthony McQuinski. Goodness me, he might as well have been in a slot car as he goes through Hollywood and down the Craner curves. Amazing stuff from Rick Styron. He wants to make this 2 wins out of 2, and he's now making the move on the 13 there of Chris Jones. Where on earth does that take him in the rankings? That must be about 4th or 5th. Absolutely incredible. Ayrton who? Oh, and there's a spin. That's Philip Waters. Philip Waters from the front. He made a mistake there on the exit of the old hairpin and has thrown away a chance to make this one a dominant victory. Well, Carl Rossin's making the move. He's just shot past the number 9 of Jason Wood, and now he's trying to do the same thing to Andy Pritchard. Had to bail out of it in the end, but now, with a bit more confidence, he might be able to make the move on the inside here at McLean's. He's going to wait for a straight bit of road. You don't want to bin it on the first lap. To finish first you must finish, and oh, that looks to me like it could be. Is that Alistair Kirkham on his left side there trying to come back? Trying to make the move on the inside line here, Carl. Careful, but look how wet it is. Do not tell me Rick Styron's leading already. He is. Would you believe it? Rick Styron is already leading. He started dead last, and he is now leading on the way down to Fogarty's. Absolutely incredible. So Rick Styron leads the way. Who's that in second place? Now that is Alistair Kirkham. That is the 72. So the other one who was darting around with Carl Rossin must have been Jeff Hansen in the similar Scarlet car. So across the line they go, and Rick Styron has gone from the back of the field to the front. Absolutely amazing. Eat your heart out, Mr. Senna. Kirkham in second place, Jamie Callender in third place, holding his own very well there on the first lap. Then that looks like Jason Flegg, still doing a good job there in P4. He was a bit quiet in the first race. He just got on with it on the run to third. 5th position, this is the battle. It's Chris Jones in front of Richard Matthews, and those two battling away with Anthony McQuinski coming along for company. Then that looks like Jeff Hansen there, I think, who is in 8th position. Well, it's definitely a lot wetter than it was in race 1. They're going to have to be quite careful. They drop down through the Craner curves. Look how much slower these cars have to be on the limit. Just tippy-toeing their way around. A lot of standing water. We're on board with Chris Jones. That is Jason Flegg up the road. Jason Flegg was 3rd in race 1. Oh, careful, Chris! Oh no! So easy to do. He loses it on the exit there of the old hairpin. Such an easy mistake to make, and that has left the door open for everybody else to take advantage. Well, I don't mean to be harsh, Chris, but maybe if you put your steering wheel the right way up, it might point you in the right direction. But on he goes. The steering wheel is meant to look like that, strangely enough. But he gets back on the circuit, and he's got a longer day ahead of him than he wanted. There's Rick Styron. Where is everybody else? Look back, and there finally is Alistair Kirkham. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Rick Styron, once he gets into a Porsche, he disappears. Nobody else will see which way he went now. There's Jamie Callender, though, chasing him down in third position. Then it is Jason Flegg, and now up to fifth is the 47. That is Richard Matthews in front of, I'm fairly sure that's Jeff Hansen. Then McQuinski. Down towards the chicane, though, up to Fogarty's. Is that Hansen making the move on the inside line of Matthews? Difficult when these cars have not been out for most of the season, but Hansen is through, and Matthews just has to let him go. Now, in the wet conditions, Jeff Hansen, a lot of experience having raced in the 924s against the likes of Alistair Kirkham for a long time. I wonder if Jeff Hansen could be a bit of a dark horse in this one. They're all got to beat Rick Styron, that's the target. There's Carl Rossin in the middle of the road trying to close up on Anthony McQuinski, and behind is Brian Jarvis. Now, we said earlier, he's come from the historic racing scene, and his Porsche 924 is run to a different spec of championship, so that it's a little bit heavier than these cars. But in these conditions, that is actually an advantage. Brian Jarvis will have a little bit more grip afforded to him because of that little bit of extra weight the car carries. So he might actually have an advantage, especially in the latter stages of the race when drivers are starting to tire and the cars are starting to get a little bit wayward. Richard Matthews getting a little bit sideways there through the old hairpin. I really hope Richard's still pointing in the right direction on the exit. I don't see a yellow Porsche parked in the gravel, so I think he caught it. On board with Carl Rossin, and you can see how wet it is on the windshield. Really struggling even to see the car in front of us, as Anthony McQuinski continues to run there in 7th position, braking a lot earlier than they normally would do for McLean's. It looks deadly slow, and to a certain extent, it is even for the Porsche 924s. They go a lot faster than this normally, but the difficulty in these cars is you can't really push it to the ragged edge. Even though these cars have got grooves in the tyres, they're very skinny, so you don't actually have a massive amount of rubber on the road, and that's what makes the 924 such a tricky car to race in the wet. But it makes it an awful lot of fun for the Daring Do driver. Now, this is the battle for second. Look, Jamie Callender has actually closed up on Kirkham. So the second place battle is intensifying. That's Kirkham and Callender. Then in 4th position, it is Jason Flegg, just in front of Jeff Hansen. We look a little bit further back in the field. What's happening elsewhere? Well, we've lost quite a few, unfortunately. We didn't have Chris Valentine on the grid because he had problems with the brakes, and he's not racing in this one anymore. Linda Warren had an alternator problem in the service area, and that means she didn't make the start either. Such a shame. I have a feeling in the wet she could have been very strong. But here is Philip Waters on the comeback drive, and he's going to make the move on Jason Wood down the straight. No doubt both Gavin Johnson and Pip Hammond, as well as the rest of the PDC racing crew, will be watching and cheering on for Jason as they go down the straight. But through goes Philip Waters, and now chasing down Ryan Lowry, who I have to say has not made as fast an impact on this race as Rick Styron did. But then Ryan Lowry has not just got a race win to consider, he's also got to consider the fact that he's actually fighting Gavin Johnson, who's not on this grid, for the 924 Class Championship in 3 weeks' time at Brands Hatch. So he doesn't want to bin the car and then face a big repair bill in readiness for Brands Hatch. That's the very reason why Gavin Johnson elected not to compete this weekend. But I have a feeling that Pip Hammond, who is also on the sidelines with accident damage from Rockingham a fortnight ago, would have loved to have been on this grid. So as we rode on board there very briefly with Chris Jones, look at the lead Rick Styron has got on the rest of the field. It isn't even funny, really. Absolutely incredible that he's pulled out that big a lead. Now, Jamie Callender has slipped into 5th position. We've now got Kirkham versus Hansen. It is absolutely as it used to be, and Hansen makes the switch and goes past Kirkham. It's like the good old days. Hansen versus Kirkham once again, and Carl Rossin is now closing in on these guys. They've got to be careful. Jason Flegg makes his move on the inside and moves up into 3rd place. Carl Rossin would have loved to have been part of this battle. He's not quite there. But if he had the speed that qualifying didn't give him, he'd be in amongst this lot as well. Look back, there's Matthews. The next car should be Carl Rossin. Yes, there it is. Now, this is an interesting battle. We've got Hansen, Flegg, Kirkham and Callender. Now, Callender is the young pretender to the established guard, as it were. Has Callender made the move on the inside and got to 4th place? Go on, Jamie. Yes, he has. Nicely done from Jamie Callender into P4. Beautifully done there from one of the younger drivers in the 924 fraternity. Down the hill he goes. He's been getting better and better all the time, although his car has, on various occasions through the 2017 924 championship season, let him down. But here at Donington Park, where the pressure is off, he is able to put on quite a show. There's Jason Flegg, running in 3rd position, looking for a 2nd consecutive 3rd place. But what he'd really like to do is wipe the smile from Jeff Hansen's face. But that's going to be tricky. This is what he can see. It's barely anything at all, isn't it? Look at that. How on earth does Jason Flegg find his way around in this? Absolutely incredible driving. Further back, Carl Rossin can see a little bit more. Whoa, Richard! Richard Matthews just in front of him. Very nearly drops it in the gravel at Coppice. Just about gets away with it. Back on the power, let's listen. That is a gorgeous cacophony of pure music, the 924 engine, and up alongside Richard Matthews we get to the braking zone. Commit to it, Carl, go on, you can get there on the inside line. Got to be so careful, especially when Carl and Richard both compete in the main championship. You don't want to wreck your car before Brands Hatch, the season finale. But they've done a good job there, they've kept out of trouble. There goes Alistair Kirkham. Still, look, the damage from race 1 is apparent on the car, but he doesn't care. He's still going strong. Behind Rossin and Matthews, we've got the 92 of Brian Jarvis, still doing a good job. Further back behind them, we've got a few of the others. We've got McQuinski still there somewhere. Unfortunately, no Stephen Potts. More damage to the car from that incident we saw in race 1. He's been kept out of the action, I'm afraid. Andy Pritchard is there, and the man who prepared his car in his front garden, Richard Jones, former European Taekwondo champion, is there somewhere, being guided all through this weekend by Steve Brown, another former 924 champ. It's a shame he wasn't out in the grid for this one. But just think, we've had 18 cars running this year, and as we've already mentioned, that is the best grid for a 924 class race we have had in about 12 years. Just imagine that, plus the production Boxsters, plus the race spec Boxsters for 2018. I really want that to happen. Look at Rick, he's still pushing it. He's leading by a country mile, and yet he is still giving it the beans as if he's in last place. He is absolutely charging. On board with Chris Jones, tippy-toeing his way through the old hairpin. You have just got to stay on the road in these conditions. Really tricky to hold it together. And look, you've got another problem there exacerbated by the age of these cars. Look at the windscreen wiper. It's only effectively cleaning half the screen. So his point of vision for looking at the cars in front on the left-hand side is actually obscured a little bit. So you've got to take that into consideration. And that's not going to be very easy to keep his mind off at the moment as he tries to battle his way past the number 9 of Jason Wood. They come off of McLean's, down the dip, up the rise again, into Coppice Corner. But these are fantastic cars. I am genuinely serious when I say that if I had an ARDS license, if I wasn't doing this job, the best job in the world, by the way, I would be in one of these cars racing tooth and nail. They are amazing racing cars. They are great fun. Ignore Porsche Germany. John Aldington was right, and we've got 25 years worth of racing to prove it. Down to the braking zone for the Fogartys. Into the zone they go. Now, careful, Chris. It's very easy to lose it in these conditions, especially considering the rain is not stopping. If anything, it's intensifying. Off the turn they go. Now, that's McQuinski leading the charge as they come down off the straight. Now, look back. That's Wood, Jones, and if you look back, that's the other Jones, I think, is it? Oh, no, sorry, that is, I'm fairly sure that is actually the returning Resurgence. No, it is Richard Jones, I'm sorry. I thought for a moment that might be Andy Pritchard, but it is Richard Jones, who's decided to leave all his rough stuff off the circuit. You don't behave like that in a racing car, but it's great to see Richard Jones back. Basically, my first day in the paddock in the Porsche Championship was his first day as well in pre-season testing back in 2012. I don't think he's raced the car since 2012, but he's kept it all the time, just in case. And it's great to see him out there, still loving it, still enjoying the fun of it. It's difficult for drivers, even in club racing level, to find the budget for a whole season, especially when you've got everything else. And this event has really rekindled the spirit of these cars. They are great racing cars. It is a great paddock, and it is a great championship, and it is a great racing formula. If only we could get more of them out there in one go, that would be sensational. Come on, guys, 2018, that is the year we're going to really see a revival for this amazing German sports car. Jason Wood defending well here, actually, with Chris Jones desperately trying to find a way through. It's not easy, because when you get on the power, you get that little bit of wheel spin as the water really tries to dig into the tread, and that can really spit you out, especially when you've got the camber and the acceleration point to think about coming off of McLean's. They turn into Coppice. Again, Jason Wood doing exactly what he needs to do to stop Chris Jones coming through. Just moving the car just a little bit more off the line. Just an inch this way, an inch that way, and that's enough. Brilliant defensive driving here from Jason Wood. Chris Jones, look, he's swarming around. He's looking left, looking right. Come on, mate. Don't make your car that wide. It's a Porsche, not a Buick, as they get down to the braking zone. But Jason Wood doing exactly what he needs to do. And both of them, you can see, are tightening up on Anthony McQuinski. They're getting closer, and they're actually boxing in as Richard Jones starts to close in. He seems to like the wet conditions as they come down the straight once again. And in front of them is Ryan Lowry, third position at the present moment in the Porsche 924 Championship. Across the line to start the last lap, however, just a few hundred meters behind them is Rick Styron. Unbelievable. He started this race in dead last and somehow took the lead before they even got to the final corner, before they even got to the Fogarty S's, down the Dunlop Straight. Yes, I'm calling it the Dunlop Straight. I'm old school, and he has done an absolutely amazing job, just disappearing out into the distance. And he has checked out. He has not eased up. He has not backed off. As far as Rick Styron is concerned, this is fun. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to race in an amazing event like this, and he's taking full advantage of it. Now, he's got to be careful, because he's got to pick these cars off like raisins, one by one, on the last lap. But they're in their own battle. He goes for Richard Jones. No problem. Cheers, Richard, as he storms his way through. Next up is going to be Chris Jones, but there's an awful lot of respect amongst the drivers in this championship as well. It's a friendly paddock as well as a competitive one. There's great friendship, great camaraderie, great spirit, and Chris Jones gives him no trouble at all, lets him through without a word of doubt at all, or hesitation, and Jason Wood lets him through, but that's going to let Chris get through. Chris Jones is going to get through, and McQuinski lets him through, and that's going to let both Jones and Wood get through. Oh dear, it spices up, all thanks to Rick Styron. Well, Rick was obviously having a bit of a boring race out in front, just controlling things, and he's ended up spicing up a back marker battle a little bit. But as Rick Styron closes up on the man he beat in race one, he won't quite put the lap on Ryan Lowry, but what an amazing job he has done in this race. Rick Styron comes through, Ryan Lowry having fun, but not throwing a championship fight up the spawn. Here he comes, Rick Styron across the line. He's weaving a little bit in the wet. I think he thought better of it. He was going to zigzag, he was going to slalom down the straight, and then decided, do you know what? No. But 2 out of 2 for Rick Styron. The hand comes over the door. Thank you. That was a fun weekend. 2 brilliant races and a dominant victory in both for Rick Styron. I wonder if we can tempt him back for 2018 in a full-time campaign. Well, I'd like to see it. I don't think any of the other Porsche fraternity in the British Championship would like to see it. But what a drive from Rick Styron, who checks out and disappears out in front. Jeff Hansen in a valiant second from Jason Flegg. Jamie Callender, a brilliant 4th place in front of Carl Rossen and Alistair Kirkham. Richard Matthews, Philip Waters, Brian Jarvis, and Ryan Lowry rounding out the top 10, with Jones, Wood, Jones, McQuinski and Pritchard finishing up the field. Great racing here at Donington Park. Can we do it again 12 months from now, please? I might even get a car.
Jeff, it's been 5 years since you got into 924. No testing, nothing. You just got in it and drove. What a weekend it's been. 2nd place in that 2nd race.
Yeah, I'm really pleased. But actually amazed. No testing. But you know, the cars, the balance, everything is so good. You put the power down. As long as you're careful with your braking, you put the power down carefully. They just work for you. And Fudge puts together a great car. It was really, really well prepared and thoroughly enjoyable.
Yeah, and it's been a great event, especially with its 25-year anniversary.
Yeah, I mean, fantastic. Just look around, all these people, and it's been superb. I mean, it's been well organised, not only by the 924 team behind us, but the 750 Motor Club to let us come, and of course, a big thanks to all the marshals who turned out. And let's face it, it hasn't exactly been a wonderful day, weather-wise, but no, really, really good. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it.
Well done.
Thank you.
Jason, successful first race, successful last race, but it's torrential out there.
Yeah, it was a little bit wet, but it's good fun.
Yeah. It's been a great weekend altogether, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean it's been great to see old friends. I've been racing in the boxes for a while, and coming back into 924s was well, it's made me go back. Actually, I'm going to join next year, so more fun, and I love the cars. They're great.
I got a pleasure of driving one last year as well. Fantastic to drive. I think it's just the man and machine combination, perfect.
Yeah. I mean, it's got a fantastic balance. You're talking a 50-50 split because of the gearbox in the back and the engine in the front, and you can literally take it sideways round the corner with your steering straight and just steer around with your engine. In the wet, it's just so pliable. With the box though, it just spins out. With these things, they're just awesome.
Thank you very much.
No problem at all. Cheers.
Well, sadly, that brings a close to racing here at Donington Park for the Porsche Drivers Association 25th anniversary. We're going to end the day here with a raffle raising some money for charity. Everybody's going to have a drink. They're going to win some prizes. So please do tune in next year, where we'll do it all over again.